Welcome back to botany class. In last video we started the new chapter, molecular basis of inheritance, right? So in that we discussed the structure of nucleotide and the primary structure of DNA and the secondary structure of DNA, that is a DNA double helix proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick. And also we discussed about the types of DNA also, and the very famous model and the very famous type DNA, the B type of DNA proposed by James Watson, Francis Crick. That model only we are using, right? And in this video we are going to see two important topics. One is central dogma of molecular biology. Second one is packing of DNA helix. Packing of DNA helix into chromosome, right? So we'll start with the central dogma of molecular biology. Central dogma of molecular biology, actually molecular biology nothing but it's one of the science, the field, it's a branch of study. Here we are going to discuss about how the molecules are transforming from one form to another form, right? The central dogma of molecular biology, it's explained one way or unidirectional flow of information from master copy of DNA into the protein. How it is the information are flowing now? That from DNA to RNA and RNA to proteins. This central dogma of molecular biology is given by Francis Crick. Francis Crick only, they proposed the central dogma of molecular biology. So be clear that the central dogma explain how the information, the flow of information is unidirectional, how the informations are flowing from one molecule to another form of molecule, like DNA to RNA and RNA to protein. Okay, you see, cell during cell division, that time the cell, it can make the copy of same DNA. So whatever copy is there, it can synthesize the same copy. That process you can call it as a replication. Replication nothing but it's a duplicating a DNA molecule. And because why it's a duplicating, they want to distribute the equal amount of DNA to the daughter cells. So that the process we are calling as replication. And next, so DNA to RNA. So this process you can call it as transcription. This process name is called transcription. So why we are saying the transcription? Here DNA, we know that DNA is a double stranded one, but RNA is, it's a single stranded. RNA molecule is single strand. RNA is single strand, but DNA is a double stranded one. Whatever information present in this double stranded DNA, so the information extracted into single strand of RNA molecule. That's why we are using this process as a transcription. Transcription, like you see, there are many, here DNA contain both coding as well as non-coding. So both genes and also other non-coding genes also there. But we are extracting the core information alone, so that the double-stranded information converted into single strand of RNA. That's why we are saying that that's a transcription. Generally transcription we will say like editing and proofreading. Just we are, if one chapter is there, just we are preparing one summary of chapter. What we will do, we will remove unwanted thing, just we will take only important points and all, and we are preparing summary. Like this, whatever unnecessary things are there, everything will be removed. Only the core informations are converted into single strand of RNA. That's why the process of synthesis of RNA from DNA molecule, the process name is called, we are calling as transcription. You're clear with this? Transcription, right? Next, the process of conversion of RNA into protein, or synthesis of protein from RNA molecule. So this protein, the process name is called, you can say, translation. So why we are saying the translation? Generally, when we use this translation term, generally, for example, information given in English, I want to convert this information into Tamil. Here the language is changing, but the information or the information is not changing, the meaning is not changing. Like this, the information is present in RNA. In what form information present? Informations are present in the form of nucleotide. These information are further translated into in the form of amino acid. So amino acid. But here the information language is nucleotide. Here information language is amino acid. So that's why the process of synthesis of protein from RNA molecule we are calling as translation process. Okay. This whole process together you can call it as it's a central dogma of molecular biology, because the central dogma explain about one way or unidirectional flow of information from master copy of DNA to protein. It's not possible to reverse. So once proteins are produced, that's all. It's not possible to reverse from using protein, not possible to synthesis RNA, and not if RNA is there, not possible to synthesis DNA. So one way flow of information is there. It is given in center, explained it in the form of central dogma. This concept of central dogma was proposed by Francis Crick, right? And the exception to this one-way flow of information was reported in 1970. So actually central dogma given by Francis Crick, but exception to this central dogma, that is nothing but the one-way flow of information was reported in 1970. Who has reported? There are two scientists. One is H. Temin. The scientist name is called H. Temin. So another scientist name is called D. Baltimore. So D. Baltimore. So Baltimore. So these two scientists independently they discovered reverse transcription in some viruses. Some viruses, we know that some viruses they are having RNA as a genetic material. When they are entering into host cells, first they want to convert this RNA into the DNA, and then the information will flow from DNA to RNA and RNA to protein. So this and based on the discovery of the RNA viruses, the reverse transcription RNA viruses, they proposed another concept. The concept name is called, you can call it as reverse central dogma. The reverse central dogma, also called as Teminism. Also called as Teminism. Teminism also say reverse transcriptase. Okay. For example, you can see here the RNA viruses are there. RNA virus like HIV. Most of the retrovirus, the genetic material is RNA. So the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, and the genome is genetic material is single-stranded RNA molecule. When the molecule enter into human cell, first they want to convert this rDNA into cDNA, complementary DNA. That virus itself they contain one enzyme. The enzyme name is called reverse transcriptase. With the help of this enzyme, they can convert this RNA into DNA. So this enzyme is RNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme. They love this, they are converting. So this the process of making of cDNA from RNA, the process name is called reverse transcription. Then the information flow like this, cDNA to RNA and RNA to protein. So this the reverse central dogma or Teminism is first reported by are studied by H. Temin and B. Baltimore in viruses, in some viruses. So the modified flow of information now we are calling as it's a Teminism or reverse central dogma, right? So like reverse central dogma means you can say only this, DNA to RNA, RNA to protein. The reverse central dogma or Teminism is RNA to cDNA, cDNA to RNA, RNA to protein. So the RNA to cDNA you can say reverse transcription, that is catalyzed by DNA, RNA dependent DNA polymerase. The enzyme name is called reverse transcriptase, right? So next we are going to start with packing of DNA helix, right? So we know that in previous class we discussed the structure of DNA molecule. That in the DNA molecule, so the molecule, the polynucleotide chain, which are made up of 4 types of nucleotides. The distance between adjacent base pairs in a double-stranded DNA is 0.0 So 34 nanometer, 0.34 nanometer, you can write it like this, 0.34 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meter, right? The distance between adjacent base pair is 0.34 nanometer or 0.34 into 10 to the power of minus meter. Then length of DNA, for example, so already we studied 4 different organisms, the size of DNA also. The human genome size is, diploid cells contain approximately 6.6 in 10 to the power of 9 base pair. So 10 to the power of 9 base pair. These are diploid DNA, the human diploid cells contain this much size of DNA. If you are taking haploid genome size is 3 into 3, 10 to the power of minus 9 base pair, right? This is the length of the DNA for human diploid cells. If you calculate the size, so this much base pair is there. If you calculate this size diploid cells, you can say, example, you see 6.6 to 10 to the power of 9 into 0.34 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meter. It gives approximately 2.2 meters will come. 2.2 meters will come. But this much size of DNA present inside the cell and also inside the nucleus only. For example, take human cell. Human cells are surrounded by plasma membrane. The size of human cell is average size. For maximum, the eukaryotic cell size is 100 micrometer. 100 micrometer. But within cell, the nucleus is there. Within nucleus only, this DNAs are present. But how the small cell size, the small size of the cell can accommodate this much big size of or lengthy DNA molecule. So the length of the DNA is greater than the dimension of nucleus. So dimension of nucleus is mostly the nucleus size will be 10 to the power minus 8 meter only. Sorry, micrometer. It's not micrometer. There's a dimension of this one is, and the approximately nucleus is 10 to the power minus 6 meter, not 8, it's a minus 6 meter, right? How this small size, or if you take micrometer, will come maybe 40 to 50 micrometer only. How this much size of the DNA is accommodated within the nucleus now because of the packing process only. For example, you take E. coli. So E. coli, the size of DNA is, the size of DNA is 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pair. 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pair. If you calculate this particular DNA, so for 10 to the power 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 bases, calculate come approximately 1.34 millimeter. So 1.34 millimeter. And this much size of the DNA also. So the bacterial, the E. coli cell, the DNA length is 4.6 and 10 to the power 6 base pair. But it comes approximately calculated. So because the distance between adjacent base pairs are 0.34 nanometer, calculate approximately come 1.36 millimeter will come. Okay, 1.36 millimeter will come. But you see, the cell itself very small size. How the cell can accommodate this much lengthy DNA, meaning is by how they are accommodating within the small phases through packaging or compaction. They have to compact or they have to reduce the length so that they can accommodate this much lengthy of the DNA. So we are going to see how the cell packing and accommodating the length of DNA within the nucleus or within the cell we will see. First we will see the packing of DNA helix in prokaryotes. So because prokaryotic cells, they lack nucleus. There is no nucleus in the prokaryote. For example, prokaryotes are bounded by, for example, you take bacteria externally bounded by cell wall. And within cell, there is a thin cell membrane is there. And inside only cytoplasm, within that cytoplasm, the DNA is present. But in bacteria, prokaryote, the DNA is not scattered throughout the cytoplasm. But and also being prokaryotic cells, they do not have any definite nucleus. But DNA is found in only in cytoplasm, but DNA found in supercoiled stage. Supercoiled stage. So the coils, how it's maintaining? For example, prokaryotic DNA is there. So the prokaryotic DNA also, it's a negatively charged. So all DNAs are negatively charged. Negatively charged. It binds with some histone-like protein. Some histone-like protein. So histone proteins we are going to discuss in packing of DNA in eukarya. Histone-like proteins. Histone-like proteins. So these proteins are negatively charged, positively charged. Positively charged. These proteins are positively charged, and this DNA molecule along with this protein, and they converted into some supercoil. Supercoil. Only this supercoiled stage of DNA only found in the cytoplasm of the nucleus. Cytoplasm of the prokaryotic cells. This packed structure of DNA, you can call it as nucleoid or genopore. Nucleoid. So you can say it nucleoid also or genopore also. So nucleoid or genopore, right? So in this way, so because the DNA present in prokaryotic cells, so the DNA, how it is packed now, because the DNA not present, because they do not have any nucleus, so that the DNA will not scattered, the DNA is not scattered throughout the cytoplasm, but they are present in supercoiled stage. How they are present? They are negatively charged protein, they combined with some positively charged histone-like protein, and they are converted into supercoiled stage. So this supercoiled stage, the material only present in some part of the cytoplasm. The structure of DNA within cytoplasm, you can call it as nucleoid or genopore. Nucleoid or genopore, right? Next we will see the packing of DNA in eukaryotes. Eukaryotic cells, the organism is, the cell itself somewhat more complex than the prokaryote. So that they are having Pestle mechanism. With the help of that mechanism, they can pack their DNA compactly and they can accommodate the DNA within the cell nucleus. We will see how it packing. For packing of DNA, so you see the eukaryotic DNA is its double stranded and linear molecule, right? Eukaryotic DNAs. But length of DNA vary from organism to organism. For example, take human DNA size, length is, it's a, how many base pairs are there deployed? A cell contains 6.6 into 10 to the power of 9 base pair. So if you put it, approximately come 2.2 meters. But the width of DNA is, the diameter of DNA is 2 nanometer, right? Or 20 Armstrong. So the diameter of DNA constant for all the organism, but width may be vary from organism to organism. How the eukaryotic cells, for example, you take human DNA, how the cell can accommodate this much length of the DNA within the nucleus. We will see how it packing. For packing purpose, cell uses two different type of proteins. One protein name is called histone protein. Another type of proteins are non-histone chromosomal protein. It's abbreviated as NHC, non-histone chromosomal protein. But these both proteins are, it is a positively charged one. Positively charged protein. But DNA is negatively charged. So our DNA is negatively charged. In histone protein, the cell uses 5 types of histone protein. There are 5 types of histone proteins are there. So these proteins are basic proteins. Basic proteins which are rich in basic amino acid like arginine and lysine. So which are rich in basic amino acid, arginine and lysine. So this because of presence of this arginine and lysine, which give positive charge to this particular protein, histone protein. Okay, there are 5 different type of histone proteins are there: H1 and H2A and H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. So on H1 only one protein, H2 there are two types are there, H2A, and H2B two proteins are there, and H3 two and H4 also two. Totally 9 histone protein, but types of proteins are only 5. 5 histone proteins types are there, H1, H2A, H2B, H3, H4. But total number of protein involved in DNA packing is totally 9 histone proteins. But kinds of proteins are only 5 kinds of protein. But non-histone protein, these proteins are which are rich in tyrosine and tryptophan. So tryptophan amino acid. But in that non-histone protein, totally 64 different types of proteins are involved in packing. For initial level packing, the cell uses only histone, and final level packing only the cell uses non-histone chromosomal protein. But these proteins are used in initial level packing, and final level packing for more compression purpose, they uses this non-histone chromosomal protein. Okay, it's abbreviated form as a NHC protein molecule, right? We will see how the cell will packing with the help of this histone or non-histone protein. Okay, you see here first, for example, what the size of DNA is 2 nanometer. The length is, we are taking human DNA, 2.2 meter, right? 2.2 meter. For initial level packing, how to learn? This totally I told 9 types of histone proteins are involved. 2H2A, H2A, 2 and H2B2 and 2H3, 2 and H4 2, right? Totally 8. This 8 protein combine like this and they form one histone octamer. So totally 8 proteins, 8 histone protein, 2H2A, 2H2B, 2H3, 2H4 together form histone octamer. Histone octamer, octa means 8. So this 8 protein together they are forming histone octamer, and the histone octamer also called as new body. Histone octamer, I can say new body. Like this they are forming. So now what will happen is, like there are many histone octamer like this will form. So these are one histone octamer and another histone octamer. Like this 8 protein together they form histone octamers. Like this they will form, right? For just for demonstration purpose, I will put like small one, right? So here one histone octamer, here one histone octamer. Like cell uses many histone octamer. So how many histone octamer it uses now depends on the length of DNA it uses is number of histone octamer. So these are histone octamer. So now what will happen is, so this now you see the length may be vary. The length of DNA is 2.2, but with this 2 nanometer. Now what will happen is, this one is positively negative charge and histone octamers are positive charge. This negatively charged DNA molecule which wrap around this histone octamer for 2 times. So 2 turns of histone, that DNA on the past negatively charged DNA which wrap around the positively charged histone octamer. So I will wrap around this positively charged histone octamer like this for 2 times. Now this structure name is called, you can call it as nucleosome. Looking like bead like structure, no, nucleosome. How much DNA approximately wrap around one single histone octamer? Approximately 200 base pair. 200 base pair of DNA which wrap around this histone octamer or new body. And how many turns are there? Now, but it looking like 2 complete turns, no, but not 2 complete turns. 1 and 3/4 turns of DNA which wrap around this particular histone octamer. The approximately the DNA between 2 histone octamer is 2000 base pair, and the DNA which join one nucleosome with the another nucleosome, this DNA name is called linker DNA. Linker DNA. The size of linker DNA is approximately 80 base pair. 80 base pair. Okay, see, only here we discussed only 8 different type of histone proteins. But what about here? Another one here for how which proteins are there forming histone octamer? 2H2A, 2H2B, 2H3, 2H4. But remaining one is the H1. The H1 you can say it helping histone protein. So here the DNA is wrapped around. If you leave as such, what will happen is the wrapped DNA sometime the unwrap and come out. So this H1 protein will go and bind with the wrapped DNA around the histone octamer and they keep tightly. So this is a role of this H1 protein. Okay, H1 protein. Like see, suppose one ball is there, one ball. I am wrapping some thread around that ball. If you leave as such, what will happen? It will come out. It will unwrap. So that keeping like keeping that wrapped DNA together. So we are putting some pin or clip something like this. This DNA and go and bind and hold the wrapped DNA around the histone octamer. Okay. So that is a role of H1 protein. So now what will happen? Okay, you see this structure. There are many beads. It looking like beads on string. So this structure now there are look like many beads. This structure name is called, you can call it as chromatin. Chromatin, why we are saying chromatin? It's a combination of DNA and also protein. The nucleoprotein complex we are calling as chromatin. So now what will happen is in this structure, so the 2 nanometer size of DNA is, now the length somewhat reduced, but the width is increased, it become 10 nanometer. It's a very important one. In first level packing with the histone octamer, the width of DNA or the chromatin fabrics, now it become 10 nanometer, right? 10 nanometer. So next what will happen is, so initially the size of DNA is 2 nanometer. After wrapping or binding with the histone protein, the size is, the length is reduced, but the width is increased. The diameter of the fiber is increased. It become 10 nanometer. Again, this the chromatin again undergo further folding and coiling. Further folding and coiling. So this further folding and coiling, what will happen is, like the beads are there. The beads, they undergo like this further folding and coiling. Right? Further folding. Here's and all the nucleosome beads are there. Nucleosome beads like this. They undergo further coiling. So this coiled structure name is called solenoid. Solenoid, or you can say chromatin fiber. Chromatin fiber. Now the size of this coil is, 30 nanometer. Coil size, the diameter is 30 nanometer. Okay, see, initially 2 nanometer of diameter, the diameter is increased, it become 10. Now the diameter is increased, it become 30 nanometer. Now the size, the length is reducing, but width is keep on increasing. The super coiled, this particular DNA name is called, you can call it as solenoid or chromatin fiber. So these chromatin fibers only present in the nucleus. If the cell at rest phase, nothing but cell if not undergoing any cell division, cell is at rest, or that nucleus we will call it as interphase nucleus. That time the nucleus, when we are drawing nucleus, we will put like this, we will say chromatin fibers. So this type of structure only found in within the cells. It is not completely packed, somewhat loosely packed. These chromatin fibers only found in the cell when the cell is at rest, or cell if not undergoing any cell division, or interphase nucleus contain only chromatin fiber. If cell undergoing, if about to divide, that time what will happen is, these fibers further condense and form chromosomes. We will see how it is. Okay, you see the solenoid fiber is 30 nanometer. The solenoid fiber, solenoid also we are calling as chromatin fibers, right? Chromatin fiber. At the time of cell division, how this solenoid or chromatin fiber further compactly packing and forming chromosome, we will discuss here, right? See, I told this is a solenoid. The diameter of solenoids are 30 nanometer, right? This solenoid further undergo further folding, or you can say supercoiling also. Like this, it undergo further folding, right? So now what will happen is the length is greatly reduced and width is increased. The 30 nanometer solenoid become super solenoid. The size become 300 nanometer. The diameter of this one is become 300 nanometer. This structure name is called super solenoid. This structure is solenoid structure and super solenoid. Super solenoid. When they undergo this super solenoid formation, when cell about to divide, so during prophase and also metaphase stage only, the chromatin material compactly pack, they condense and they form chromosome. Rod-like structure we are calling as chromosome. So again this super solenoid further condense, further fold like this, fully thick folding will be there. The fold like this, and the diameter become 700 nanometer, 700 nanometer. And this structure name is called, you can call it as chromatin. It's not chromatin, this structure is chromatin. This structure is chromatin. And further what will, and further the cell unable to pack, the packing of the chromatin further unable to pack, that time the cell uses for further level compacting packing purpose, the cell uses different type of another kind of positively charged protein. The protein name is called non-histone chromosomal protein. For high level packing purpose, they will use this non-histone chromosomal protein. So that what will happen is further they fold and finally form one rod-like structure like this. Rod-like structure. So this rod-like structure, the diameter is 1400 nanometer. So this structure you can call it as chromosomes. These structures visible only during metaphasic stage of cell division only. One cell about to divide, that time only they further condense, they form rod-like structure. The rod-like structure we are calling as chromosome. Okay, see, the diameter of DNA is 2 nanometer, but length is different. But after packing, so the size become, the diameter become 1400, the length is greatly reduced, so that the cell easily they can pack and they are pack and they can accommodate. And also why they are packing further, the DNAs are packed into chromosomes now, because then only it is easy to distribute the equal amount of DNA to the daughter cells. That's why it's a packing. The main purpose of packing is the main purpose is, first one is they want to accommodate the lengthy DNA. Second purpose is they want to distribute equal amount of genes or DNA into the daughter cells. That's why the DNAs are packed during time of cell division, right? But when we are taking this nucleus, if you are staining with some staining reagent, you can differentiate the chromatin, but all chromatins will not look same. You can differentiate the chromatin into two regions based on basis of their staining behavior. First one you can say euchromatin and second one you can say heterochromatin. Take nucleus, either interbase nucleus or the dividing nucleus. You can stain it with any suitable nuclear staining, and you can differentiate the chromatin region into say euchromatin. Euchromatin, and the next part you can say heterochromatin. Euchromatin, next part is heterochromatin, right? Euchromatin and heterochromatin. What is the difference between this euchromatin and heterochromatin? So euchromatin somewhat is a loosely packed one. Loosely packed. Here the packing is somewhat loose, but here this heterochromatin is densely packed. So densely packed, the nucleoprotein name is called, we are calling as heterochromatin. And why we are calling as euchromatin? This one is strains lightly. Lightly strains. If you are adding strain, This part is stained darkly. Stained darkly. This particular part stained darkly. And this chromatin is transcriptionally active. And this chromatin is transcriptionally inactive, right? So we are taking chromatin of nucleus, either interphase or the dividing nucleus. We are staining with the same staining reagent. If you stain, you can find there are two different regions of chromatin. Some part you can call it as heterochromatin, some part you can call it as euchromatin. What is the difference between hetero and euchromatin? So euchromatins the loosely packed DNA, the loosely array packed chromatin only we can call it as euchromatin. Densely packed chromatin region is called hetero. Because of loose package, it stains lightly. Because it takes only less stain only, it appear light color. But because of dense package, it uptake more stain, it gives dark stain, dark color. But this one is transcriptionally active one. That's why it's an euchromatin. That one is transcriptionally inactive chromatin, right? I hope that you understood the packing of DNA molecule. Next we will see to take one chromosome. The chromosome chemically is a nucleoprotein molecule. Chromosome chemically is a nucleoprotein molecule. We will see what is the exact chemical composition of one chromosomes, right? Chemical composition of chromosome. Chemical composition of chromosome. It's a very important one. Chemical composition. Chemically, all chromosomes are nucleoprotein molecule because which consist of nucleic acid and protein molecules, right? Main proteins are histone and nucleoprotein molecule. Chemically, what is there? What kind of nucleic acids are present? What kind of proteins are present? Like each chromosome contains DNA and some amount of RNA and histone proteins. Histone proteins and histone proteins are basic proteins, and also not only histone and also which contains some acidic proteins also, and some amount of lipid also present, lipid and carbohydrate, and some inorganic salts also like calcium and magnesium and iron. So these are all present. If you take one chromosome, how much percentage of this DNA present? About 40% is DNA is present. RNA is 1.2% is RNA. So some contain trace amount of RNA. And histone proteins are 50% when the histone proteins are found in the DNA. The acidic proteins are 8.5% are acidic protein. Lipids how much? Some trace quantity lipids and inorganics are trace amounts are present in that particular chromosome. Okay, this is a chemical composition of chromosome. So chemically, chromosome we can call it as it's a nucleoprotein molecule or nucleoprotein complex. So what kind of nucleic acid proteins are there? DNA 40%, RNA 1.2%, histone 50%, acidic proteins are 8. Lipids and some inorganic ions like calcium, magnesium and iron. These and all some trace quantity are present, right? If you take this chromosome, okay, you see chromosomes like there are this part you can call it as chromatin, right? This part name is called chromatin, and there is one construction is found in the chromatins. This construction name is called centromere. Centromere. In both sides of centromere there is one disc-like structure. This disc-like structure name is called kinetochore, and end part of the chromatid name is called, these two are chromatin, this end part name is called telomere. Telomere. Actually in the two chromatid centromere split the chromatid into two. So one is long arm, Another one is a short arm. So both are chromatid arms only. Syndrome is splitting that arm into two types, right? And during time of cell division, these chromatid split like this, split, and they are attached to same common centromere. Now the chromatids are splitted like this, right? These chromatids are splitted. The splitted chromatid you can call it as sister chromatids. Right? This is the structure of chromosome, right? So why the DNA cell packing DNA? The main purpose is one, to accommodate within the cell or within the nucleus. Next, why they are packing further into chromosome now? Because they want to distribute this DNA into equally to the daughter cells. That is the main purpose of the packing of DNA helix, right? I hope that you understood the central dogma of molecular biology and also the packing of DNA in prokaryote and eukaryote. So, and remaining topic will continue in next video. Thank you.